Welcome to AI Horror Stories. If you are a fan of horror stories, you have come to the right place. Here, we will introduce you to the most frightening aspects of artificial intelligence. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe to our channel and like the videos. Your support will help us create even more scary stories. 1. Where sanity is extinguished. The discovery of a dangerous experiment in an abandoned mental asylum that threatens to release madness into the air. Deep in the inhospitable wilderness of Vermont lies the town of Dunwich, a place many on modern maps have chosen to forget. The center of all the whispers and fears is the Dunwich Sanatorium, a monumental Victorian building that has been abandoned since the crisis of 1952, when a mysterious fire consumed part of the structure and it caused the evacuation and permanent closure of the place. History tells that the sanatorium was home to now unspeakable medical practices. Lobotomies, electroshock therapies, and chemical experiments were common. Dr. Jonathan Crane, its last director, was a man whose cruelty was surpassed only by his genius. Crane believed in the purification of the mind through extreme suffering, and his patients were rarely the same. Many believed that Crane had crossed the boundaries of reason in his quest to cure madness. One stormy night, a group of psychology students from the nearby university, led by the curious and reckless Michael Harris, decided to explore the sanatorium to discover its secrets. Armed with flashlights and cameras, they were unprepared for what they would find. As they walked through the main entrance, the wind seemed to whisper names, and shadows played on the walls like ghosts of the night past. The group moved toward the West Wing, the site of the 1952 fire. In the heart of the burned wing, they found Dr. Crane's office, miraculously intact among the charred chaos. Files, notes, and journals littered the floor, but it was a large black book that caught Michael's attention. It was Dr. Crane's personal journal, filled with disturbing observations and frenetic drawings. As Michael read aloud, the air grew heavier, and the sounds of footsteps and murmurs grew around them. The pages described a ritual, something Crane had discovered and obsessively tried to perfect. A procedure to completely eradicate madness, releasing the essence of it into the air. Ignoring the pleas of his friends leaving, Michael continued reading until suddenly the flashlights went out. In the darkness, piercing screams were heard and then silence. When the lights came back on, Michael was gone. Only his glasses remained on the floor, along with one last note from Crane that said, "Where sanity is extinguished, true knowledge begins." Since that night, no one has returned to see Michael. Dunwich Sanatorium remains standing, a silent guardian of unimaginable horrors. Locals avoid the place, fearing that the madness of Crane still hangs in the air, seeking new minds to corrupt. And so Dunwich remains a place where sanctity literally dies out. 2. The melody of death. A cursed violin and a lost symphony that traps the souls of those who dare to play it. In the small village of Amersburg, the elders still whisper about the curse of Crowley Manor. An enormous, Gothic structure, abandoned for decades, stands on the outskirts of the town, hidden in the thick fog that never seems to clear. They say that every night of the full moon, a penetrating and melancholic melody is heard emerging from the desolation of its ruins. It is the violin of Edgar Crowley, the last of his lineage, who was a violin virtuoso and whose life ended in tragedy. Legend has it that Edgar was found dead with his broken violin in his arms, just after completing his grimmest symphony, titled The Melody of Death. Since that fateful night, no one dares approach the mansion, except for Alma Richter, a young violinist obsessed with Edgar's compositions. Alma, defying the advice of the villagers, decided to enter the mansion on a full moon night, hoping to find Edgar's lost sheet music and discover the secrets of his last concert. As she entered the mansion, Alma felt the cold penetrate her bones and a feeling of restlessness invaded her. He found Edgar's old study, where the broken violin rested on a music stand covered in dust. At her side, the sheet music of The Melody of Death seemed to be waiting for her. Unable to resist, Alma began to play the symphony with her own violin. As the notes filled the air, a series of spectral apparitions began to manifest. They were the souls trapped by the melody, condemned to relive their last moment over and over again. Alma, paralyzed by terror, could not stop playing. Each note she played tied her tighter to the mansion's curse. The melody reached its climax, and in that moment, Alma felt her life fading away, absorbed by the dark power of the violin. His last breath mixed with the last note of the symphony, sealing his fate. Since that night, it is said that two melodies can be heard in the mansion when the moon lights up the sky. Alma and Edgar, united in death through their cursed music, continue to play their endless symphony, attracting the unwary who dare to explore the Crowley mansion. Thus, the melody of death continues to echo, a grim reminder of the fate that awaits those who seek to unravel Amherstburg's best-kept secrets. 3. The Whisper of the Walls. A haunted hotel where the walls whisper tragedies of the past, and one woman comes to uncover the truth. In a secluded mountain region stood the former Bellevue Hotel, an imposing Victorian-era building that had been the refuge of aristocrats and celebrities in its golden age. Now, closed and forgotten, the hotel was the protagonist of countless ghost stories that attracted curious people and paranormal hunters from all over. Among them was Elena, a young woman with a special sensitivity to perceive presences from beyond. Determined to explore the Bellevue Hotel and its mysteries, Elena entered the building on a full moon night, accompanied only by her sound recorder and an old camera that had belonged to her great-grandfather. As she walked through the hallways and rooms, Elena felt how the air was charged with an inexplicable energy. In the great ballroom, where laughter and music once resounded, now only a dead silence reigned. It was there that she caught the first whispers, faint voices that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, narrating fragments of stories lost in time. Guided by these voices, Elena arrived at a room in the top floor, the master suite, where, according to legends, a tragedy had occurred that marked the beginning of the hotel's decline. As she entered, she felt an overwhelming presence, a cold that seeped into her bones and a sense of desperation that enveloped her. With her recorder in hand, Elena asked into the void who was there what story wanted to be told. The response was immediate. An icy wind swept through the room, and the recorder captured a clear voice, although full of sadness. It was the voice of Isabella, the last owner of the hotel, who had loved the Bellevue more than anything and whose untimely death had been shrouded in mystery. Through Isabella's voice, Elena learned the true history of the hotel, a story of love, jealousy, and betrayal that had been hidden behind the walls of the Bellevue. Isabella asked Elena to share her story with the world, so that her spirit could finally find peace. As she left the hotel, with the first light of dawn coloring the sky, Elena knew that her visit to the Bellevue had changed something in the fabric of time and space. Isabella's story, once freed, allowed the hotel to stop being a place of shadows and whispers and become a monument to the lives that had passed through its rooms. Elena published the story of Isabella and the Bellevue Hotel, letting the world know the secrets he had kept for so long. And although the hotel never reopened its doors, those who passed by swore they heard, on full moon nights, the echo of the music and laughter that once filled its halls. As if the Bellevue, finally in peace, he will remember his days of glory.